Greetings, Holy Ones. I am Fabian with ChristosAvatar.com, and today we'll be talking about Ascended Masters Explained. What are Ascended Masters? What are not the Ascended Masters? And what is the Melchizedek Ascended Master Collective? You know, the hierarchy of guardians that we have in our time matrix. Also, the creation of the cosmos and the primal sound fields, about the 24 Ascended Master Collectives, the Ultra-terrestrials, the cosmic Trinity, also what's called the primal light fields, about how you are an Ascended Master, and also the lies of the New Age Ascended Masters, also about Ra and Melchizedek Ascended Masters, and also about, you know, King Melchizedek and Lord Melchizedek, and the Nifilim Anunnaki Melchizedeks. So these are the things that we'll be talking about today in this video. Now, I have placed time codes, you know, in the description below, so if any of you want to, like, you know, go right to different parts of the video, please do so. But for the rest of us, we're going to start at the beginning. So I thank you for being here, you guys. This is showing that you think that your spiritual ascension is important, and that's exactly what we talk about here, your spiritual awakening. So consider subscribing to this channel if you like what you hear today and want to learn more. So thank you. And now, in this Master Templar Ascension playlist series that this is part of, we will start talking about, you know, all the different guardian angelic nations that live within the cosmic structures of our reality. Okay, we just got through talking about, you know, the Unisci, which is God. It is the source of everything else. So that's what we have at the top, right? Which exists in the first sphere you would call the energy field or consciousness field, beyond all the other consciousness fields. So now we will be, you know, begin talking about the hierarchy of, you would say, extraterrestrials, metaterrestrials, and ultra-terrestrials that exist, you know, within the lower consciousness field of the Unisci, and, you know, within Source God. And there is a hierarchy here, well, as far as who is in the higher frequency and who is in the lower frequencies, okay? But it is not like a hierarchy like some of the Anunnaki teachings, you know, will tell you. It is not a hierarchy of lords of this and lords of that, you know, above that. It's not a hierarchy of, you know, the big ones on top, you know, that control and manipulate the little ones, you know, on bottom, which you see in most what's going on today in our world. It's not a hierarchy like our governments tend to do it, okay? It's a hierarchy structure only in the sense that certain frequencies are higher than others, and that allows for, like, more consciousness to be held, you know, within, you know, forms within those frequencies. So, but the ones that, you know, have the advantage, let's say, are the Rishi levels of identity, you know, the highest level of our matrix, and they are stationed in density 5. That's dimensions 13, 14, and 15. You know, our Rishis, you know, they do not look at us like, you know, little playthings down here to manipulate. Okay, they don't impose their will on us. They know that we are aspects of themselves, creating with free will, and they will assist us whenever possible to expand, you know, for us to expand into the greatest that we can be, because, you know, they experience and learn through us. We are their, like, spiritual lessons. So, you know, we are beloved and loved by them. So when we talk about, you know, the structure of who's who in the higher dimensions, who's in the middle, who's in the lower, you know, dimensions, you know, and it's you know, it's kind of like, it's not about the power struggle games that are created out of an elitist hierarchy. It is not an elitist hierarchy. There may be, like, a difference in development level, you know, between the different beings, but there is no difference in intrinsic worth. All right, they are all equal. All of you are equal. This is the law of one. They are all faces of God. All of you, even the fallen angelics, all of them. Remember, this is the law of one, and all are one. So no, when I talk about the hierarchy here, the ones, you know, highest up in the hierarchy are the ones who understand these concepts the most, and the ones on the lower end, which means they are just smaller body forms holding smaller amounts of consciousness. You know, they understand to the degree they can hold, you know, well, that they are loved, and that they are, you know, blessed, and that they are worthy, and that they are free. This is important to your spiritual identity and realization. Okay, the ones that would be on the lowest on the scale right now actually would be the avatars and ascended masters incarnating, you know, running around down here. We are running around down here trying to, like, get our memories back, you know, trying to get our DNA opened. But there's part of ourselves that, you know, we're directly connected to that are up there in these other, you know, organizations I'm going to be, you know, talking about. So in the previous video, we talked about God, okay, as being that first spherical consciousness field, you know, that it basically encompasses everything else. Okay, God is the all oneness. Okay, it is a unified unity consciousness, united consciousness, the unity of all, like literally all coming together. So this very first sphere represents the final and complete expansion of God. But God decided to create manifestation to know itself better. And it has individuated itself by isolating portions of its own identity, into like smaller spherical structures of manifest expression. God has created spheres within spheres, okay, of identities. God is learning to know itself through all of us, through all of its creations, progressively, eternally, through manifesting itself into a multitude of identities and forms. So the first individuation within God, or the first sphere within God, is what's called the Eckatic Primal sound field. Now it's it's a sound field, like vibrational energy field. The Eckatic Primal sound field is the first contraction where God contracted itself, into a boundless self, into like a smaller isolated area that it could begin to create within. So the next spherical energy field is the polaric. After the Eckatic is the polaric primal sound field, and the third one is it's called the triadic primal sound field. And these three primal sound fields are like collectively altogether called the energy matrix. Also realize that the energy matrix is the cosmic level. The time matrix that we live in is the universal level. So there's also the galactic level and a planetary level and the personal level, but the energy matrix is what is really the cosmos. Okay, when you talk about those things, what is the galaxy? That's the cosmos, where all universes, exist within. So also realize that when we talk about the mechanics of this 15-dimensional reality and the primal light sound, and sound fields, we're not just talking about, energy fields, we're talking about consciousness, energy fields. Each one of these sound fields are collectives of consciousness. They are intelligent, they are sentient, they are aware, just as God is, intelligent and sentient and aware. So when we talk about the primal, sound field, it's not like scientific, or just being no emotion, no life, this is also a collective. It's a collective also called the Kundalini, or in the physics terms, the energy matrix. And these are areas of consciousness and awareness and identity. And these are identities as well as energy. Energy is conscious, and consciousness is energy, and you can't separate the two. Excuse me. This is exciting. So each of us, each of these three cosmic levels of the primal sound fields, it holds like an identity level of God that are called the Ascended Master Collectives. And these cosmic, because they're at the cosmic level, Ascended Master Collectives, they're eternal gestalts of consciousness, from and through which the universal 15-dimensional reality fields of our time matrix are seeded with life from them. There are 24 Ascended Master Collectives in the greater God worlds that form time matrices. And the numbers have to do with mathematics, the mathematical arrangement that was used. Just like our computer programs are built on mathematical arrangements, most like computer programs here on Earth are based on like what's called base 10 math system. So, the 10, 20, 30. However, the source creation was based on base 12 creation pattern, which means it is built on increments of like 12, 24, 36, and beyond. So, there are lots of other time matrices, but that go into groups of 24, and they are not all based on love. I mean, there's other experiments being run that are very different than here, okay? We will get into the higher God worlds and other time matrices in future videos, but for now, we will be discussing the three Ascended Master Collectives that are directly related to our time matrix hologram. So these three cosmic Ascended Master Collectives are also called geomantic entities, or you would say ultra-terrestrials, and you would say also the cosmic Trinity, or our cosmic family of consciousness. So this is in the ancient Anunnaki language, the word for Ascended Master is Janus. Okay, so you can interchange the term Ascended Master with Janus. Now Ashana, my teacher, she seems to like prefer the word Janus. I personally, I prefer Ascended Master because it's a term most familiar to people in general. Like most of you are never heard of Janus. So, but this is what an ultra-terrestrial Ascended Master really is. They are collectives of consciousness, collectives, sound field collectives. They never go from the cosmic energy matrix. They don't leave the cosmic level. They're immortal. Okay, they are eternal. They just like exist perpetually beyond the time matrix, beyond time. It is the state, that allows for the rest of the universal creations to take place. So the ultra-terrestrial Ascended Masters aren't dimensionalized. okay, or with a manifest form like we are in the time matrix. They're outside of that. They, they are like cosmic families of consciousness that exist in pure, scalar wave form. They don't experience space-time matter. They are eternal, and we are connected to them. Each of us are connected to the Ascended Masters. Okay, we are the Ascended Masters. And I'll explain, to understand how life forms got into manifestation in the first place, you need to understand that they came from, this cosmic Ascended Master sound fields. And that's the level where they're coming from source. And then they dimensionalized into the universal dimensional structure. Okay, they started there, they created life in the time matrix. So they broke themselves down and created like shifting in the flashline sequences to create particle bases, and they experience a perceivable matter, which is really all a hologram anyways. So now one thing you have to realize is that the cosmic sound fields are what program and create the universal light fields. Okay, cosmic sound creates primal light. Okay, the three different cosmic primal sound fields set the beginning mathematical patterns, the dimensional frequency rhythms for what becomes our three primal light fields. So these are rhythms that become particle phasing, that flashing on and off, and it is set within the cosmic primal sound fields. For example, the highest eckatic sound field is what sets the dimensional frequency, the program, the mathematics for the blue flame primal light field, and which is the 13th dimension. And the polaric sound field sets the dimensional frequency for the gold flame primal light field, okay, of the 14th dimension. And the final triadic sound field, Ascended Master level, sets the dimensional frequency for the violet flame primal light field, okay? So the primal light fields are where the solar, Rishi exists. And we'll be talking about them on the next video, because we're going to be going through all of these guardians starting from the top, and we're starting with the Ascended Masters. First we started with God, then the Ascended Masters, and then we'll be talking about the Rishi in the next video. So if you look at us as, consciousness, like a stream of source God that decides to become, into a manifestation in the universal 15-dimensional time matrix structure that we call manifestation, or, space-time, we first pass progressively through the three cosmic levels of the Ascended Master consciousness. So we have an Ascended Master level, okay, in each of those three cosmic primal sound fields, the eckatic, polaric, and the triadic levels of Ascended Mastery. So some of us will have more coding of one than the other, and each of us can, learn to trace our cosmic roots. But these are our cosmic family, if you want to look at it in terms of identity. You might be the blue, more of the blue flame, the gold flame, or the violet flame Ascended Masters. You might have more of the coding of which one of these templates more than the other templates, but you have a piece of them all, okay? And so this word Ascended Master takes on another whole meaning, okay? It's a term that has been highly misused within contemporary New Age movement, particularly, basically we're talking about fourth dimensional discarnate collectives. We're here in 3D, they're discarnate 4Ds who interact with Earth humans, from the D4 astral planes, and they're the ones calling themselves by this term Ascended Master, who, when in fact such D4 groups are hardly more advanced than Earth humans, in the evolutional, towards Ascended Mastery. But also, true Ascended Masters are not identities who have progressed a partial way, partial ascension within the dimensional scales of the time matrix. It has to be outside the dimensional scales. Okay, an Ascended Master is a highly evolved ultra-terrestrial, not extraterrestrial, not metaterrestrial, but an ultra-terrestrial gestalt of consciousness, in pure scalar waveform. Okay, is that fourth dimensional pure scalar waveform? No. So you now, understand as existing as the cosmic level of consciousness, which is beyond the dimensions of the universal time matrix. So when I hear, about Ascended Masters, my first question is, when someone, says I am an Ascended Master, from which level? Okay? And they kind of look at you and, an Ascended Master is an Ascended Master. No, it's not. Okay, so it's some of them, right now, those incarnates that are interacting with us through, channeling, are actually from only the density universe 2. You've seen my diagram, you see where they're at, okay? That's the level that they're really coming from, okay? They're not Ascended Masters. They have maybe 5th dimensional consciousness, and, or 4th dimensional, and saying we are the Ascended Masters, okay? Follow us. So, that won't get you very far, okay? Most of the 4th dimension or 5th dimensional discarnate collectives that don't even remember the rest of their own higher selves or the dimensions. you're not an actual Ascended Master until you go through the whole evolutionary time matrix cycle, all the 15 dimensions, pulled in your consciousness, back together, the entire 15 dimensions, of consciousness, and then, pull back together in the 3 separate levels of this cosmic energy matrix, the Ascended Master levels. After you've done all that, then you're an Ascended Master, okay? But we have a lot of stuff coming out in the channeling movement that, that all sorts of things are claiming to be Ascended Masters, okay? Just because you're ascended to one dimension or to one density universe, yeah, all right, you ascended a little part of the full spectrum, technically speaking, right? But being Ascended Master, or actually being ascended and being a master, are 2 different things. So remember, regarding the cosmic energy matrix, we are dealing with sound, 3 primal levels of sound. You could say, well, like inaudible sound to us, right? But that first level of inaudible sound is the Eckatic level, the highest level, okay, that we've been talking about. The singular sound tone of the Eckatic level is translated into audible sound as Ra, okay? In some spiritual systems, traditions, this sound tone, Ra, has been referred to as the sound, of the in-breath and out-breath of God. So the audible sound translation of the Ra Eckatic sound field tone, as it is spoken in our time matrix, is translated into Melchizedek. Okay, this Melchizedek tonal energy signature represents the composite tonal translation of the Ra tone as it manifests through the scalar waves, of the time matrix, to our specific 15-dimensional time matrix within which the Earth resides. Okay, where we are. So that's what the translation is. So the true meaning of the word Melchizedek refers specifically to the Ra Ascended Master Collective, or the Melchizedek Ascended Master Collective of the Eckatic Energy Matrix. We're showing you exactly where they're located. So Melchizedek is, literally the name of the Ascended Master Collectives. It's not just one being or person. This is, where the Melchizedek word comes from. Okay, but this word belongs to you. It's a family name that belongs to everybody. All right, and everything. There are ants that are Melchizedek. There's Melchizedek atoms, okay, in this time matrix. So it's a large collective of consciousness. Everything in our time matrix is a Melchizedek. It doesn't mean it's a Melchizedek that knows it's a Melchizedek or remembers it's one, or knows that it's working or not working with divine right order. But everything came out of that collective of consciousness. So there's like a few references and of Melchizedek here and there in the Bible. However, the biblical references were referring to King Melchizedek, okay, which obviously is not the cosmic Melchizedek Ascended Master Collective. Okay, no. King Melchizedek came and did, well, certain things in the biblical history. You could probably easily look that up, right? But Melchizedek goes way beyond that, right? And it's not a big guy in the sky. Sorry, it's not, sitting on some throne that you bow down to. It's completely different than that. Okay, but some people, well, they interpret Melchizedek as that. So Lord Melchizedek. Okay, there's that name again. There are certain groups in the New Age movement that call to Lord Melchizedek to assist them. Okay, you can call it Lord if you want to. I don't like that term. Okay, personally, because within our own history, right, that it implies subservience and servitude. Okay, you don't have to call anything Lord or Master. Okay, all you have to do is recognize that you are directly connected to your own inner master, all right, which is your own level of, higher dimensional identity, all the way up the dimensional scale that you connect to as a psychic person. You connect to your higher aspects. You learn how to connect. Also, since there's a lot of talk about in the New Age movement about this teacher Drunvalo Melchizedek, which many of us have had a great, amount of respect for him. We have, we've liked him and felt that he was good, but. I just want to give you a little heads up about Drunvalo Melchizedek, okay, which is from the Guardian. This is coming from the Guardian perspective, okay, which is also from Ashiana Dion's personal experience, my teacher, with him. And Ashiana asked him some basic questions about the halls of Amente. She went to one of his workshops, okay, and the reaction was not positive. First of all, he didn't have an answer to the questions Ashiana asked, and second, all of what was happening in the field reality really was basically intimidating because he was not happy that she asked those questions. Now, the Guardians have told us that Drunvalo Melchizedek was originally part of the Melchizedek Council, that we came from, which, means he was supposed to be working with the Emerald Covenant, Blue Flame, Elohai, Inner Christos, the Law of One. But that is not what he's teaching in his lectures, his workshops, his books, Flower of Life books. Okay, something happened along his journey, because his flower of life is actually the flower of death. I have also personally been to, not with her, but I've been to my own Flower of Life workshop, and check out what Drunvalo Melchizedek is doing with Merkaba. He is straight up teaching like reverse Merkaba, and on my channel here, I will be demonstrating exactly what he's been doing, like side by side, so you can see for yourself. Okay, Drunvalo Melchizedek has been in a position for many years, to harm people or help, but he's been harming. So there should be some type of disclosure about what he is doing, and you can decide for yourself. We're not hating on him, we're not judging or nothing. We're saying, hey, now you have a choice to look and decide it. Let's not forget who Drunvalo's personal teacher is. It's this Egyptian god Thoth, which he claims he met in person many times in the flesh. So in our inner Christos Guardian teachings, if you've been watching, you learn all about the so-called ET gods, Egyptian gods, whatever kind of gods, and also about Thoth himself. He is an Enki Anunnaki, from planet Nibiru, which is also part of the Luciferian covenant. So when you can decide for yourself about following Drunvalo Melchizedek and his flower of death. Okay, so the Bible reference for a King Melchizedek and the New Age, Lord Melchizedek. Okay, those are an Anunnaki. Okay, excuse me, we're the Guardians. We're not these guys, and we are the only ones right now speaking about the different types of Melchizedek. King Melchizedek was a Nifilim Anunnaki. But that's, not what Melchizedek is limited to. Okay, they adopted that name. Oh, how convenient, how very smart, So they call themselves Melchizedek, and actually most people on the planet who are now calling themselves Melchizedeks are affiliated with the negative Templar Melchizedeks. They don't realize that means Nephilim Anunnaki Melchizedek. But if you are not part of the Inner Christos teachings, Law of One, you're not going to know the difference, or be told the difference, or be aware that there's other information out there. So please understand that when I use the word Melchizedek, I am referring to the cosmic Melchizedek Ascended Master collectives, that created our time matrix, and who created our first founder races inside of the time matrix. So Melchizedek is a family name, okay, originating from this cosmic level, Eckatic, primal sound field. So that's where the word Melchizedek comes from. It's a name that belongs to all of us. And we do not teach that stuff about Lord Melchizedek, which is, again, a classic hijacking that is being, run by some of the Anunnaki of false ascension teachings, like we just mentioned, okay, about Drunvalo. So this is, this is who's running that program. There is not a Lord Melchizedek, other than the personification of the objectified God figure that the Anunnaki matrices are creating. I've even seen people that have pictures. Certain people have, done paintings of Lord Melchizedek because he, appeared to them. Okay, that's that kind of stuff. This is not true Melchizedek teachings, you guys. True Melchizedek teachings, there's only one Lord, and we don't call it Lord, we call it God, or the Unisci. Because Lord, the way it's used on our planet, it implies subservience. But Source God does not look at us, as things that are, supposed to be kneel down and be subservient. So the word Melchizedek belongs to all of us. So these Melchizedek Ascended Masters created our time matrix and began to create life inside of the time matrix. So this is the beginning to open up the rest of our time matrix and all the guardians who live within. And I thank you for watching this video about what are Ascended Masters. And if you like what you have learned today in this video, you guys please like and subscribe. And you definitely want to check out the next video that comes up in this, on the screen here, because on that video, which is part of our playlist series, I've called this I have a few playlists, but this is the playlist for the Master Templar. Okay, but in the next video, we'll be talking about the different guardian angelic nations and races that were created inside of our 15-dimensional time matrix, in descending order, from the highest, from the Rishi sun level all the way down. Okay, and so this is just learning about yourself. You're learning about God, you're learning about the guardians, but you're learning about your own identities. This is beings. The Rishi that we're going to talk about next are from density 5, and this is the beginning of the blue flame, the violet flame, the gold flame. And so I thank you guys for watching today's video. I'll see you on the next one, and hope you are learning what it is this is helping you learn about ascension, about spiritual awakening. Otherwise, you don't know what is a Melchizedek. You don't know what is an Ascended Master. You don't know what is really a cosmos. What is it, a universe? But now you are learning now. It's almost like you don't need someone to tell you. Eventually, you'll get to the point, you guys, with this information where you're going to find it all right here. Your inner Christos. I love you. Thank you, Holy Ones. See you on the next video. Yeah, see you much. Yeah.